I'm Rachel.
And I'm Ashlee. Welcome to the Capital Mom Real Life Conversation. Let's start with our dimmer. We actually have a mutual dimmer.
Yes.
Kind of crazy, but my middle kiddo started throwing up yesterday and then threw up until about 3 a.m. And then I called Rachel to be like, hey, just so you know,
we had a rough night.
Our kids may not want to get together while we're recording this.
Yeah, we usually, my kids go to her house while we record, and everyone's so happy because they love being together, and it's great.
Yeah.
But today, we were like, well, my youngest was up almost all night throwing up and all day today. Yeah. So we're like, oh, shoot.
Well, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, we're both running on a little bit of fumes.
Yes.
From
last night.
Yeah, last night and all the laundry and cleaning today. And
yes. It was
sure all you moms can feel this. And hopefully this GI bug has long gone by the time you get this.
Yeah. It was one of those days where you wake up and you're like, I'm already ready for bed. Just been awake for 20 minutes, but counting down.
I know. There were moments I was jumping when she would gag. I was but my body was so tired, so I would turn and look, and then she wasn't.
Well, I did the hand catch all night last night.
No,
I was too tired to even grab a bucket. I was like, I got it.
The hand catch. No. Only in emergencies will I do that.
The mom, the instincts are on point. Yes. So another one that I was just gonna say was just to add a glimmer.
Yeah, do it.
Is we put up our Christmas decorations yesterday. Right here.
It's
There's
right
a
behind.
tree
You can't
behind
see
you.
it, but it's amazing.
And it just brings me so much joy. This year we have this front room with this beautiful window, and my husband loves driving home from work and seeing our tree lights in the window, which I do as well. It's so beautiful. But we have a second living room in the back, which is where we spend all of our time. So the room we're in right now, this is basically what it gets used for, recording this episode. So I was like, I really want a tree in that back room too, to feel the magic back there. So we found one at Home Depot, and it's a flocked tree. I've always wanted a flocked tree, forever I've wanted one. And I'm just so happy because now I have Christmas magic in both rooms, and it's a glimmer. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and when I walked in, it was a glimmer. Yeah, it literally was. John put lights up on the house today. He got the lights up before it got too cold. Great. So yes,
this 60-degree November, I will take it.
I know. We just were outside working, pulling up yard stuff. And we planted bulbs yesterday all around the mailbox, and that was actually really great. Yeah, we'll take it.
That's so great. Yeah, my son Brecken, just another side note, his birthday's this weekend, his birthday party. And I remember last year we had it at our family's cabin, and last year was this way too. It was 60 degrees. Yeah. And he said he wanted to have it at the cabin again. This was 2 months ago. And I was like, okay, buddy, but I can't promise it's gonna be the way it was last year when it was so beautiful. And now here we are, and it is.
It's looking great.
It's looking great.
Good.
Okay, so we're gonna get into our topic, and our topic this month is about what's coming up is Christmas, and we're going to talk about Santa. Yes. So let's do this. So I'm going to ask Ashlee first, what did your childhood look like in terms of Santa?
Yeah.
Was Santa a part of your Christmas?
Yeah, so actually, yes, Santa was a part of our Christmas, and it was the only, my dad didn't spend a lot of money or do very much, I would say, throughout the year as far as purchasing things for us. But when Christmas came, I feel like he always pulled out all the stops. Yeah. Although he never stopped saying that it wasn't Santa. I was old enough to have thought things through, and yet it would still, he would never admit to anything. Yes. And absolutely, I know my mom obviously helped with that too, but for whatever reason, my dad really sticks in my memory for the Santa portion of it. Yeah. Because I just loved how much he loved that. He really did. And I learned later that was something that his parents did. They never ever said that it wasn't.
Yeah.
They just were like always Santa believers and always Santa magic. And so, yes, we had that, and it was always so great. Like our little routine was we had to milk the cows first, which sounds so funny. We really did. We milked the cows. I grew up on a dairy farm. We had breakfast, biscuits and gravy. We had to clean all of breakfast first, and then we lined up at the door.
I love it.
Of the family room, and usually it was youngest to oldest. I was the youngest, so I got to go first usually, which was great. And then we would go in, and Santa had the gifts by the stockings.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was always really magical.
Yeah.
So yes, we did.
So then,
what about you?
Oh, yes. Very similar.
Okay.
Very similar. I was an only child though, so there's no lining up. Oh, mine was like get up as early as I could, and I would go into my parents' room and bug them. I remember like my parents were always early risers, like 6:30 kind of people, and I would go in there and just bug them, like, can we get up now? Can we get up now? And they're like, we have to wait till 6. And I would be in there at like 4:30, like just, can we go? Can we go? Just could not wait. And then, yes, we would always have the stockings. Actually, a tradition that my grandma, my dad's mom, did that I love, that I've carried on with our kids, is they took the stockings and fill them up, and then they actually set it on the foot of each kid's bed. Oh. So that when they wake up in the morning, they're just sitting right there, ready to open, cute. And they can open them in their room, and then come in and show us all the excitement. Yeah. And I always loved, like, I would sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and like hear the jingle on the end of my bed, and I'd be like, oh, he came! Like, it's just so magical. So and those little things that you pass on, like, bring back joy from your own childhood when you do them to your own kids. It's just so great. Yes. And then we did like one Santa gift. But same thing, like we never had the conversation of like questioning or anything. It was just, we just
went along.
Like, went along.
Yeah. It worked. It was better for me to just go along. Yes. I feel like it was, there's always the chance that it'll just keep coming. I just had to keep going along. And my older siblings loved it too. Oh, so I just went along as long as I could.
I love that.
So I could tell they enjoyed it as well.
So then what did you take from your childhood that you now use with your kids, and is there anything you changed?
Yeah. Okay, so
obviously we don't milk the
cows in the morning. We don't go milk in the morning, and we honestly don't do breakfast before we open presents. We've adjusted. Yeah. Part of it too is the kids have to walk through the living room to even get to the kitchen anyway. Yeah. Like ours could be closed off back in the house that I grew up in, but it can't hear. So the biggest thing is the transformation that takes place, and that has ended up being like the tradition that I didn't realize would stick with my kids so much, but has. It's the same with like birthdays or other holidays. It's like that transformation overnight that has just like gets them so just, like magical. Overnight. Yes. Yeah. So like my kids write letters to Santa, and we do stockings, and he fills them, and then we have a gift from Santa next to the stockings. Sometimes an occasional one under the tree. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest.
And that's very similar in our home. So we want to talk a little more about, as our kids get older and they start asking questions about Santa. Unlike us, we just went along with it. But inevitably, I think one of our kids, I would assume, would ask at some point. And in fact, my oldest already has. Like, she will point blank say, Mommy, is Santa real? And my response is always the same. And I would love to know what your response is. But my response is always, what do you think? And I just like to draw in the curiosity, like, I wonder, like, and then even asking questions like, how would Santa get into our house? Or how does Santa get all around the world in one night? Like, all those questions are really great questions. And so, like, getting their mind thinking, like, how would that work? I think is actually a good thing. And it's magical, because really the only answer is one of two things. Like, okay, there's either a helper here or it's magic. And it's fun to believe in magic. It's also totally okay if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally okay.
And if you have a different person or a different figure that is Santa or represents that for the...
Yes. And I know some families, for example, might not have enough money to buy a gift from mom and dad and from Santa. Mm-hmm. And that's just not going to be possible. Mm-hmm. And so for that reason might just be like, you know what, we can't.
Yeah.
Like, all we can do is this, and that's okay
and
too.
Yeah, maybe they would rather be like, I put the thought into this. I worked so hard and saved money to give you this gift rather than give it to the credit to somebody else that they don't know.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, keep going. And then when you want me to
I was
answer.
So yeah, mine I always say, so what do you think? And I feel like it always just brings up a great conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead with what you were gonna say.
No, I was just gonna roll into that we have had that conversation with my kiddos. Yeah. But one of the reasons that we ended up needing to have it was because I didn't set very good expectations for what they could ask for. So that's maybe a good little tip to do. Like, my oldest was like, I want to be able to have a necklace that turns me into a mermaid and a fairy.
That's what my daughter's on that phase right now. Can I have a real Pegasus? And I'm like, Santa actually brings things that like already exist.
Yeah.
Like, things
real toys. Like, well, do they not, Mom? Well, what do you think?
Or my daughter wants a real baby.
Oh my gosh.
Bring me a baby.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, so my oldest had that, and then I thought that I could do like a version of it that is possible for me to do. So it was like a blanket mermaid tail and a necklace that looked just like Sophia's. Mm-hmm. And when she and I made this little chest, and when she opened it, and on Christmas Day, like she was so disappointed and so sad. And then she said, if Santa has all this magic, why can't he share a little with me? And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. You've broken me. It was like really hard. So we've had like a couple things like that, because then there was another time, like, we talk about finances in our house, and she was like, oh, Mom, you know the best thing about Christmas? And I was like, what? She's like, you can ask for anything and it doesn't cost any money. And I was like, oh shoot, now we're on another wrong turn. Yeah. She's like, if you want a boat, ask for a boat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to set some limits here. Like those limits kept getting hit. And then with my middle daughter, one of the biggest things, and she's a deep thinker, but one of the biggest things that happened with her, she was maybe two going on three. And we were like, okay, Santa's gonna come and he's gonna, drop off gifts and fill your stockings. And she literally could not go to bed that night because she was so afraid of a man breaking into the house. She was so afraid. She was like, he's coming into our house at night while we're sleeping, and was like freaking out. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is backfiring too. Anyway, so we actually have had... We have had to have the conversation, especially because my second one was very point blank and very much like, what is this? And they have some cousins that are older that had talked to, and so she was like, is this real, like, or not? And so then we had a conversation about Santa as a figure.
Yes. And so actually,
but my youngest boy doesn't know anything yet. He's 3. Mm-hmm. So
I have some quotes that I wanted to read. So, speaking about Santa as a figure. Yes. So this says, we believe Santa is a spirit. Penny, sorry, our dog just like can't
really
help
likes
herself. Yeah. We believe Santa is a spirit of happiness and kindness. Santa isn't one person anymore, but a kind, loving feeling that comes from being together and doing kind things for each other. So then, if you think about it more abstract, that's one way that might resonate with kids. Mm-hmm. Or you can even talk about, in the past, there was a real man named St. Nicholas who lived in a place called Turkey hundreds of years ago. He delivered toys to children at Christmas time.
We did do that one.
Right. Mm-hmm. Today we celebrate the spirit of St. Nicholas, who we now call Santa, by giving generously at Christmas.
Yeah.
And having those conversations of like not focusing so much on Santa, but focusing on the act of giving and generosity and love and caring about people and showing that we care through gift giving. And not so much focusing on Santa.
Yeah.
And then if we do get to a point where our kids, let's say we have that conversation and they completely are like, okay, Mom, I like, I need to know for real, like, tell me the truth. I'm old enough to understand.
Yes.
Then you can have, that conversation of, here, and you can make them a part of the magic with you, instead of just like, sorry, kid, like, you're on your own, no more gifts for you. Like, instead it's
or like the gifts, but then there's just no,
no magic.
Yeah.
But making them a part of the magic. So like, okay, now you're in on the secret. You're in on the fun. So I'd love for you to stay up with me tonight, and we can fill the stockings together, and we can set the gifts out together. Yeah. And then the magic is still there, but in a new and exciting way, where they're a helper and they're a part of it.
And I think you can have different personalities that might want to do that.
Yes.
And then others, like my oldest, who knows, and she still gets so excited about the fact that there's going to be some like magical transformation that happens overnight, and she knows I do it.
Yes.
And she appreciates it. Yes. But she's like, no, I want it to be a surprise.
Yes.
So she loves it. And I
love that too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then if you are at that point, like Ashlee's two girls, how do you navigate and have those conversations around other kids? You still fully believe, and your kids might know more than they do, and you still want to be respectful of these other kids. Because I feel like it was the worst when you're a kid and somebody's like, Santa's not real, and you're like, yes, he is, and and then you're starting to question, and you're like, oh, do I sound like silly right now? Like, and so you don't want to have that kid that's like ruining the magic for other kids. So what kind of conversations did you have about that with your
absolutely.
girls?
We just talked about how like the magic like is very real, and so if someone says anything, I'm trying to think of what exactly we said. Yeah. But it was the biggest thing, like we were just like, we want to preserve that for any, like to give, I think the biggest thing is we said we want to have their parents be the ones that have that conversation with them. That actually works for a few topics for us actually, where we're like,
Tooth fairy. I mean, it could be anything.
There are things like that might be discussed, and you can just be like, you know what? That's something that you can discuss with your parents.
Super big props to Ashlee's middle girl. Last year, Ashlee gave us a dollhouse secondhand that was theirs, and we gave it to our youngest, and it was from Santa. And so my oldest, who's best friends with who we got the dollhouse from, she came over after Christmas, and my Ellie was like, look, Anna, look at this dollhouse we got from Santa. And I'm like looking at Anna, and Anna's like looking at me like, it's my dollhouse. Like, that's not from Santa. And like, I could just tell her wheels were turning, and I like kind of pulled her aside, and I was like, Anna, I know you know, and I know that this was yours, but and I just said, thank you so much for making it, not telling my girls, because it's magical, and it's from Santa. And so like, she kind of was like, okay, I gotcha. Like, and it was like this.
She loves being a part of it.
So it was just so cute to like, it was just so cute.
Good. Well, so we just tried to be like, even say that, like, what do you believe, and kind of point it back to them. And then it takes the pressure off of you. Sometimes they want to share what they think more than they,
Yes.
So
more than they want to hear what an adult has to say. Yeah, for sure. So yes, we touched on that. So kind of the list that we had was deciding what your Santa story is as a family. Then consider other families' approaches, and just respecting those different approaches. there's going to be families that do different things than you, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Navigating differences among peers. So again, respecting that other families are going to do different things.
Yeah, and I think just having a conversation with your kiddos so that they are aware of that is the best thing. Because then when it happens, they don't feel bad. I don't think that they mean to crush somebody. Yeah. No, I think but they do need to be aware. Otherwise, they're not going to know.
Yeah. And then responding with empathy and just being prepared to listen to whatever their response is when they learn, or whatever happens, whatever conversations come up, just understanding, and then focusing on being together and understanding that Christmas magic is not all Santa. So much of Christmas magic is just like the memories that we make, setting up the Christmas tree, making cookies, the elf on the shelf thing. Like there's so many things, going to the zoo lights, and just the buying presents for people you love and delivering them, and giving to, I know Ashlee, you do a really good job giving to, like, haven't you helped at like the soup kitchen and like done amazing things like that?
Well, yeah, we did like a coat drive in our neighborhood one year, and that was really awesome. And then we took it to People City Mission. And I think, like, I know my girls really loved that, and they remembered that too. Yeah.
So there's more ways to create the magic than just this one thing that a lot of people focus on.
Yeah. And I think, again, the feeling that's going to be there is what matters more than maybe anything else.
I agree.
And that's ultimately, I think, what, we're trying to just hold on to, even as they grow and maybe age out of these things, is realizing that, like, that feeling and that magic is still there, and there might be a name attached to it. Yeah. And that's okay, because the magic and the feeling is the same.
And I feel like you can feel it. Like, even just, I've never asked Ashlee, of course, like, hey, tell me about your Santa experience as a kid.
I know.
But like, it's so fun to hear, because literally just watching her respond, like, your eyes lit up with like, it makes me think of my dad, and it makes so many positive memories come from it. And I think that's the key, is like keeping it positive, because you don't want like to reflect back and be like, oh yeah, my parents lied to me my whole childhood and I have this really horrible feeling about it. I think you can, even though it's technically a lie, it's done out of good, like goodness of our hearts, and like all of the meaning behind it is from love, and so like just making sure that you're giving those like those feelings that hopefully when your kids grow up, they can have the same twinkle in their eye when they ask about Christmas.
Absolutely. And I think, again, taking that pressure off of it being a particular figurehead, like a particular person. I mean, it's based off of a person, which is really great. But then remembering that it's
more than that.
It's more than that. It's, so much more. So we hope that as you guys roll into Christmas from this, that you guys just get to enjoy that feeling and those memories and those traditions, and we're gonna be right there with you.
You don't need to do motherhood alone. Come join our village.
Exactly as you are.